This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, hello, hello, it's Jeff Cutter Driver. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe Birthday Boy. And the only video for today, August 17th, is this. This guy is a three-time F1 champion. I never would have guessed. Because, you know, if you think of world champions and multiple titles, you think of the great Lewis Hamilton or Michael Schumacher or even Alain Prost or even the great Niki Lauda. But no, it's this guy. He's Brazilian. He's one of the best champs. He won three F1 World Championships. He had a career in tennis, but decided to take up karting to prevent his dad from discovering his heartbeat. Well, he went to Europe by 1978 and would take 3 titles. He tried to be a Indy 500 driver for a couple of years, but not really that way. He has 2 sons who are professional drivers himself. He is Nelson Piquet. Nelson Piquet was born August of 1952, so he'll be 70 years old today in Rio de Janeiro. Piquet wanted to do kart racing, but his father did not approve of it. Because his dad wanted him to be a pro tennis player and was given a scholarship in Atlanta. He looked pretty good, but he wanted to finance his go-karting career. He went to Brazil to do karting and all that. And in British Formula 3 in 1978, he broke Jackie Stewart's record for most wins of the season. So he was given a chance to race in Formula 1. In 1978, he raced the last race for Brabham and took 11th. He would stay at Brabham for 7 years. In 1979, he was with Brabham alongside 2-time world champ Niki Lauda. The season was difficult because they wanted success. Piquet only finished 4 races out of 15 in this season. So he just did not do that well. Piquet would qualify well, but, you know, he couldn't do anything about it. In 1980, he went from only finishing 4 races out of 15 to taking 2nd place in the driver's standings, 13 points behind Alan Jones of New Zealand. Or was it Australia? I think Jones was from Kiwi. Was it Kiwi? No, Alan Jones was from Australia. My apologies. Piquet would finish second in the driver's standings behind Alan Jones, which was amazing and all that. Piquet would win the U.S. Grand Prix West in Long Beach. And then would win in Holland and Italy. Piquet tried his best in Canada at the final event to try to catch Alan Jones for the world title, but he didn't. So anyway, Piquet would do quite well and all that. Piquet had a great comeback in 1981. He won the German Grand Prix, while Ruderman had trouble with Alan Jones, his teammate. He had some decent results. It was down to the last race. Carlos Ruderman was 1 point ahead of Piquet on the final event at Las Vegas at the Caesars Palace Grand Prix, as they called it, which was weird because, you know, you had race in Las Vegas, but you already had a Grand Prix West on Long Beach. Anyway, I remember Mystery Feeder F1 3000 doing something about the 1981 race and how NBC had terrible camera angles and all that. Well, Piquet would finish 5th place in Las Vegas because of it being so damn hot. Ruderman did not finish that well, so that meant Piquet clinched his world championship. Piquet had to be lifted out of his car when he returned to the pits because of the desert heat. Piquet looked pretty good too. All that. He would only win one race. That's the Canadian Grand Prix, which of course was controversial because of the death of Riccardo Paletti. Piquet had a famous non-fight in the German Grand Prix with Elizal Salazar. They both attacked each other and they had weird kicks and all that. Piquet won the first race in 1983 in Brazil. With 3 races left, he was second place to Alain Prost. However, he had back-to-back victories at Monza and Brands Hatch. The season ended in South Africa. Prost would have to retire due to engine trouble, and Piquet took third place, winning his second world title. So he won in 1981, now in 1983. The turbocharged car of Brabham/BMW was now deemed illegal, and there would be new rules. In fact, Piquet would take 5th in 1984 at the World Championships, and then in 1985, he won the French Grand Prix, but he had issues up to yin yang. He was frustrated because he felt like his loyalty to Brabham was taken advantage of. His salary was very low than other drivers, despite his success and 2 world titles. So he was concerned about financial security when he retired. But McLaren Williams gave him an offer. Well, Williams gave him an offer he couldn't refuse. So he went to Williams in 1986, meaning Piquet would be the teammate of Nigel Mansell. They would battle each other out. Anyway, Nelson Piquet had a lot of problems and all that. Piquet had dominated, but unfortunately, it was all that. Piquet won 4 races, but he didn't win the 1986 world title. That was Alain Prost who did it. And Prost and Piquet and Honda were mad because they thought that they favored Mansell over Piquet, and if Mansell let Piquet pass to take some extra wins, Piquet could win the champion. But in 1987, Piquet made amends and took the title. Or did he? Yeah, he did. He never finished off the podium in a 6-race span and got his 3rd title. He signed with Lotus as the undisputed #1 driver. It was amazing and all that. So Piquet went to Lotus, and he had problems. He ended up dropping. He was supposed to be the #1 driver for Lotus, but favoritism for Ayrton Senna helped him. Well, Senna did win 8 titles. All that. Win 8 races, sorry. So Piquet couldn't do too much about it. Piquet had a terrible 89 season and couldn't qualify for the Belgian Grand Prix. So Piquet then headed for Benetton and won his final race in Montreal in 1991 at the expense of Nigel Mansell, who screwed up by thinking he had a bigger lead and kind of slowed down a bit. But, he stalled his car. Piquet decided to retire in 1992 to have his business. All that. So he retired from that. In 92, he suffered serious injuries at a practice session at the 92 Indy 500, couldn't race. 93, he qualified 13th, but he finished 32nd because of engine problems. he has supported the career of Nelson Piquet Jr., who used to drive in Formula One and all that. Well, thankfully, Nelson Piquet Jr. and Piquet, for that matter, were given money by the Renault team, you know, and to find out why Piquet Jr. was ordered to crash delivery during the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix. So, yeah, they got paid six figures, which isn't that bad. So, yeah, Piquet lived a stereotypical playboy racing driving lifestyle, earning and losing and earning against small fortunes and all that. So, anyway, he has 3 marriages and all that with 6 children. Anyway. So, yeah, so he was a good driver and all that, winning 3 languages and all that. Unfortunately, Piquet made some insulting comments towards Lewis Hamilton in a 2016 interview, and then he made a Portuguese slur at the 2021 British Grand Prix, discussing incident between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. So anyway, yeah, Piquet was just terrible and all of that. So yeah, but he still won 3 championships, 3 world championships, 1982, 81, 83, and 87. So fair warning to him. Anyway, I'm jumped. I'm gonna do.